Hey, welcome to the channel. My name is Philip. Today we're going to take a look at a lens that I have, and I'm going to show it to you. Hey, today we're going to take a look at the Tamron G2 24-70 Canon EF. Something like that. This is a 24-70 full frame lens, the Canon EF mount. They have a Nikon F mount as well. And we're going to be taking a look at this lens and how it does for video. So I actually already had the Lumix 12-35 f2.8, and so these are kind of redundant a little bit in terms of focal lengths. And so I've been doing, like, most of my paid work has been with the GH5S, so I haven't really been using this a whole lot. I did use this on one job. It was just like a kid's birthday party. Don't knock it, man. Don't knock it till you try it. Shoot a birthday party. I don't even remember why I used this one instead of this one. Maybe I was just like, oh, I'll just try it out. But anyway, I did. It looks great. I wouldn't necessarily recommend picking up a big 24-70 if you already have a 12-35 and you're shooting micro four thirds. Don't ask questions, basically, is what I'm saying. So is this any good for video? And you might be asking, why the hell not? Why wouldn't it be good for video? There's a couple of reasons why it's not ideal. It's not the best lens for video. And it just comes down to the handling of it. The way it handles, the way it feels in your hands, handling. One is this ridiculously narrow focus ring. It's not like it doesn't fit in your fingertips. It's just different. Most lenses have a thicker focus ring. You've got this massive zoom ring and then a tiny focus ring. I don't know, just a little weird. And then if you're used to Canon EF, it actually focuses in the opposite direction. So you spin it clockwise for infinity and counterclockwise for close. If you're used to Nikon lenses, you'll be right at home there. So it takes some getting used to. So if you got a bunch of Canon stuff and you swap to this, you'll be like, what the fuck, man? Why am I not getting focus? Oh, it's going the other way. The other thing in terms of handling is just the size of it. It's big. It's real big and heavy. It actually weighs 905 grams. I don't know what a gram is, so it actually weighs about 1.9 pounds. Hello? Hey, stuff. Shit, I don't know where I was. Yeah, it's big. Big and heavy. Oh yeah, I was talking about pounds. So it's like 1.9 pounds. So just under 2 pounds. So yeah, it's big. Big guy. Big old lens. And that's really it in terms of the negatives. One more thing that's negative for video shooters, and that's focus breathing. And if you don't know what focus breathing is, basically, if you got your frame set up and you're racking focus on during a shot from, like, you know, something in the close distance to the far distance or whatever, the frame will actually zoom a little bit. And that's not uncommon with photo lenses. So it's not like a knock on this lens in particular. It happens with most full frame photo lenses. So if you're shooting video with full frame photo lenses, a lot of times you'll see focus breathing. It's really not until you spend multiple thousands of dollars on cinema glass that they get rid of focus breathing. But one thing that I have noticed on micro four thirds is that for some reason, and I don't know what it is about the optics, the micro four thirds lenses don't really focus breathe. So that's a consideration. So let's talk about the positives. Let's not be all negative on this bitch. So it is heavy and it is big, but it is really well made. It's very sturdy. It's got weather sealing and dust sealing. It's got a nice thick gasket rubber thing here to keep out dust and moisture. All metal, so even the barrel that barrels out here is all metal. If you compare it to the Lumix, this is metal too, this outer part, but when you zoom, this part is plasticky. And actually notice this seam here too. And this doesn't have the gasket for weather sealing. They do claim that this is moisture and dust resistant, but not to the same degree that the Tamron is. Tamron says that they've used the coatings that they use on here are specifically designed to inhibit ghosting and really bad flaring, in particular in backlit situations. So they paid particular attention to making sure that this lens would be nice in backlight. That comes from Tamron's product page, so take that for what it's worth. Another positive for this lens, especially in terms, or really over the Canon equivalent is this has internal image stabilization. Tamron says it's good for 5 stops of image stabilization, or vibration control as it's called here. So it's got a switch for that, it's got a switch for autofocus and manual focus, and then it also has a zoom lock. So flip that and then you can't accidentally zoom it. It's got an 82mm front diameter, so the filter size, that's the same as the Canon, so it's a big filter. Minimum focus distance is 15 centimeters, so it's got a nice lens hood that locks in place, a little button here that allows you to detach it. So nice, doesn't move or wiggle or anything like that when it's in place. Constant aperture, f2.8, I'm sure I mentioned that, maybe I didn't, I don't know. So yeah, overall, really high quality. And in terms of price, brand new, this guy retails for 1,200 bucks. The Canon is 1,600, and the Sigma equivalent, I believe, is about 14. So of the three, it's cheaper, quite a bit cheaper. And I actually got mine refurbished from B&H, I think it was, and it was around 900 bucks. So that $900 is pretty equivalent to what you can pay for, or what you can buy the 12 to 35 new. I think this is originally about 1,000, but it usually stays around 900 bucks on B&H. So it is more expensive than the Micro Four Thirds. The good thing about it, so what you get for all that hefty size and weight is nothing. Actually, so if you pair it with a Metabones 0.64 times Speedbooster, let's go ahead and plop this dude on here. Plopperino. You can open this guy all the way up to 1.8. I mean, that's a prime lens right there, man. That's a prime. So you can get extra light in comparison with the Micro Four Thirds. So it is a 24 to 70, and this is a 24 to 70 equivalent. However, with the Speedbooster on the GH5S, which is slightly wider than Micro Four Thirds, this is actually like a 21 to around like a 65. And then this guy is more like a 28 to an 85. So that's still a really normal group of focal ranges. An 85 is actually, I don't know, more typical of a focal length than 70. And having that little bit of extra reach and getting that really nice 85mm portrait style look is definitely good, especially when you're looking at a 1.8 aperture. Focal length, they're not quite equivalent, so I mean, this might be better for you than this, and then maybe it's nice to have both too. I wouldn't recommend, if you're on Micro Four Thirds, I wouldn't recommend getting both of these. I would say get one or the other and then fill in the gaps with whatever little prime lenses you could do. But I'm not sure which one I would get for Micro Four Thirds. It is nice to have native lenses for Micro Four Thirds just because they're so small and light, and then you get the benefit of having really nice autofocus. I mean, it's not dual pixel autofocus, but still. However, it is nice getting f1.8 as opposed to f2.8. You do get that extra light, you do get more shallow depth of field. So I want to wrap this video up and try to encapsulate everything that I was sort of rambling on about. One thing that I forgot to mention about handling, and this is sort of a big one too, I can't believe I didn't really, that it didn't occur to me, is that not only is the focus ring small and backwards in terms of the way it focuses from near to far, but it's also reversed from typical Canon lenses, at least, in that the focus ring is closest to you and the zoom ring is further out on the barrel, like towards the front element, where usually the focus ring would be out here on the front element and the zoom ring would be closer to the rear element. So another thing just to keep in mind and just to get used to, they did, I guess one reason that the rings are such different sizes is that you easily know which is which. So man, it's like a hurricane all of a sudden. When I did the sharpness test and whatnot, I noticed that there was using the GH5S and the Speedbooster, in the upper left-hand corner at f1.8 and f2.8, there was a, like it was more out of focus up there than it was like in any other corner. Some corner lack of sharpness, was expected at wide open, but this was like much more distinct and much more out of focus. and that ended up being a result of the speed booster. So I shot the focus test with the Sony a7S II, and then that discrepancy went away. So don't necessarily let that put you off from using this lens or really any other lens with a speed booster. I might have messed up my speed booster by trying to make an adjustment to it in order to improve the infinity focus. So I kind of like focused this comparison, or this lens, review kind of thing, by using it on a micro four thirds camera and comparing it to a micro four thirds lens. And if you're gonna do that, the pros and cons of using a full frame lens on micro four thirds. So the pros would be that you get extra stop of light or more with the 0.64 times speed booster. So this 2.8 becomes a 1.8, and so with that you get brighter exposure. You also get shallower depth of field, so that's a bonus in comparison with micro four thirds zoom lenses. The negatives would be obviously just the size and weight in comparison to the micro four thirds lens, and then also the lack of autofocus. So another good thing in comparison with at least the Lumix 12-35 is that when you are manually focusing, you do get actual hard stops at close focus and infinity focus, and then you get distance markers, etc. Whereas with the 12-35, it's focused by wire, which is not a great focusing system for video. I'd never seen a lot of people using this lens for video, and I'm kind of lonely, so get this lens and we can make like a Facebook user group or something for video shooters with the Tamron 24-70. Oh, another thing in point of comparison with this and the micro four thirds lenses is the focus breathing, so that'd be another disadvantage. This breathes a lot, micro four thirds lenses don't breathe. If you're on micro four thirds, I don't know, it's really hard not to recommend just getting the micro four thirds lenses. But if you're like me and you have multiple cameras, like I have Canon EF on my Sony E mount, so it makes sense, it makes sense to stick with Canon EF in that case. Use this instead of the micro four thirds lens. I like the way this smells. So thanks for watching this video. I hope it was something. And so stay tuned. Come up with another video hopefully sometime soon. What am I going to work on next? I have no idea. Let me know in the comments.